Welcome to Quit to Win, the show where we explore the moment people had to let go of destructive pattern, limiting identity, and the internal battle to rebuild their life with purpose and clarity. Our three guests is Joe Rockey, international best-selling author, founder of 29 Company, and a man behind 2,500 plus media appearance, built around one consistent truth. When you understand the human driver behind behavior, performance become predictable. Just help sales teams stop hiding from the real conversation and leaders stop accepting slow season as inevitable. He says the quiet parts out loud, and today he's going to say it here again. Once again, a pleasure and honor to have you on the show, Joe.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Joe, you have built 29 companies. What is the pattern you see in business that store and the things that keep showing up regardless of industry or size?
Well, there's two major things I see in both areas, across all industries, across all sizes, across all people, is that first off, businesses' relationships with their prospects and employees are not where they should be. Most businesses do not know how to connect and relate with their prospects, and they have an even worse job of connecting with their own employees. Those are the two biggest areas of problems that are plaguing the economy. And both come back to actually human nature issues because they're all stemming from fundamental relationships with each other.
Yeah. Whoa, this really a whole lot to unpack here. Business relationship with their prospects, and that's with their employees, and everything rise and fall on relationship. Oh, it's really hold on. So you see, the most broken down between leaders and teams are relational, not tactical. Small resentment stack, avoidance become policy, and nobody sees the truth thing. What did you first see that play out, and what did it cost the people involved?
Yeah, I mean, where you see the cracks and the failures in not treating your people right is where you see it in turnover. You see it in turnover and you see it in productivity. Because if I don't believe you actually care about me as a person, why should I care about you as a business? It's a very natural human being response. It makes sense, and it is what it is. We all try to have this mentality of, well, I'm paying you, so just go do your job and do your
Yeah.
thing. Well, that doesn't really work like that. And that's where you see the shortcoming and the cracks really coming to play from not doing basic things such as actually knowing your people on a personal level as well as a professional level, and also setting them up for success. That's another thing. Even if people do the work of figuring out what's going on with each other, very rarely do they modify the business arrangement so you can set everyone up for success. It really starts with a business formation foundational issue, but it can be fixed anywhere along the line. Just most people won't. And that's
Yeah.
why we have this problem.
Yeah. Oh, it's really all of that. I think it's the ideology, the fact that, yeah, I pay them to do the work for me. Does not simply mean they're going to care enough towards more like putting that into the business. Yeah, it's really a lot. So you see that the bosses people probably hated them too. That is a hard truth. And where does that dynamic start? And what makes it so difficult to interrupt once it begins?
Yeah, the issue of why a boss hates the employees as much as the employee hates the boss back, it's really fundamentally innate within all of us. See, from a personality perspective, we have such a wide array of different personalities, strengths, desires, etc. as people, and it's in part as an evolutionary feature of our species. So it's not going to go away. It's ingrained into us. But the problem is that what everyone was taught in elementary school is the lie that's this issue, which is the lie that you're all told. They even give it a fun name. They called it the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. If you do that as professionals, you were setting things up to fail, because what motivates you and what you were good at, and what made you awesome to get to your position is not the same for everyone else. At most, it's for 20% of the other people. So therefore, the vast majority of the people you're connecting and communicating with are just hearing stuff that has nothing to do with them on an emotional level. Sure, the job task is the same. We got to do the same thing. But emotionally in my soul, it's not connecting with me. And for a healthy percentage of people, it actually will be pushing them away. And that's the moment that resentment begins. So instead of looking through the lens of what does my employee need? What does my employee need to be motivated, fulfilled, etc.? I'm not giving that to them. So therefore, they're going to naturally start looking for it elsewhere. And the harder and the more pressure the boss puts that wrong message upon them, the more resentment and eventual hatred develops and grows. Not complicated math, it's just math no one ever looks at.
Yeah, yeah, this is really lovely. Yeah, the golden rule, which is for like do unto others what you wanted to do to you, is not applicable owing to the fact that yeah, we are different. And the rule now has to be more like a do unto others how they want it to be done today. And yeah, owing to their growing up and what they perceive as. Yeah, it's really, really a whole lot out. So I'm just looking at the moment out, the prospect sheet what actually happened in the exchange and what does the salesperson who knows how to move through it do differently.
So again, with sales being the other connection to the employees, it's actually the same human metric that you're solving. So in the case of the employee who's getting talked to in a way that they don't want to resonate with, they don't. From a salesperson's perspective, you have an extra dynamic going on top of it. So the employer has the I'm paying you, so do what I say element. What the salesperson has is arguably worse, at least from a historical standpoint. If you go back to the Bible, there are 3 professions that get hated on more than anything else in the entire Bible. It is Satan/demons, soldiers/military,
Yeah,
and salespeople are number 3. And the fundamental reason is that when engaged in sales, there is an incredible urge and a natural starting point of you're not getting out of this situation till you give me what I want from the salesperson's
yeah,
perspective. You know, the used cars trope. You're not leaving this lot unless you're in the car I want you to leave in. So that is a standard mentality. And it's a violation of the human order because no one wants to be used.
yeah,
So as buyers approach a sales situation, they have all of these natural, arguably evolved defense metrics that are coming up within them. And you learned these the same way other human being learned them. They were you're told when you're younger, don't you ever lie, don't you ever lie, tell the
yeah,
truth. But you see your parents lie to salespeople all the time. It's something you knew it in your soul before you were 5 years old. Every single person on this planet has that. So as a result, when you approach a salesperson, you put up a wall, you put up distance. Why are you here on this car lot? Oh, don't worry about me. You don't need to talk to me.
yeah,
And most salespeople, because they go back to that same moment when they saw a mom lying to a salesperson and they don't want to be the one making people lie, even though they know they just got lied to, they retreat. Mentally,
mm,
they quit. Physically, sometimes they'll walk back into a different room. They'll physically give distance, but they're mentally retreating. Opposed to doing what they should do, which is step out of that 5-year-old psyche that you just stepped into there and treat the person as an adult. If your best friend would come up and lie to your face, you would call them out on it
yeah,
at some point. So don't worry about this. I'm just on this lot. I'm just looking. Really? That's your thing to just wake up early Saturday morning and walk around this hot asphalt spot? Like that's what you want to do today? So not only is that a glorious pattern interrupt from what they're expecting, it also reestablishes the relationship
mm,
to an adult relationship. And you truly cannot be successful in sales until you do that. And that was a very long answer to get to the problem when people accept the lie is they never step to that adult relationship. But they want to hide behind the psyche of a child, which we're all capable of doing. We all
yeah,
were 5 at one point. And that's what's happening there. And that's why it's so hard to be at sales and why so many people fail at it.
yeah. Oh, really, really hold on. And the fact that, yeah, it's easier to just buy into that particular stuff and just return back to the childhood and stay there without being an adult. So, do you redesign the real estate company incentive structures around two crosses a year and the dead season shrunk dramatically? Walk us through the psychology of why that worked when lecture about discipline did not.
Yeah, so if you look at a lot of these like accepted costs of doing business in industries, a lot of them come back to just we don't have a handle on our workforce and they don't want to show up during the winter, so I'm not going to fight them. It's not all that much different than what I just talked about with the salesperson. So there's multiple ways of going about this, but since this is an employee-based problem, the best way is to go through does the employee actually want? And then it starts with then how do you incentivize people to have it become a win-win for both the employee and the business? See, everyone just is under this assumption of I'm paying you, you're getting something, I'm getting your effort, that's enough. And the reality is that the paycheck is one of the least efficient incentive tools you can use on someone.
Mm,
Every study that's ever been done is that there's a marginal diminishing rate of return on every dollar you make. Now, granted, that number changes for each individual. Some people want to make multi-millions. Some people just want to make a couple hundred. Some people just want to make, just enough to not have to worry. It's a different number for everyone, depending on how old the person is, where they live, etc. There's no universal answer there. But there are universal things that each person does want, that does motivate them, that are much more economically efficient than just paying more money in a salary. So it is those starting points are what my company do, is we do a breakdown as far as what each person is, what's emotionally driving them, what makes them want to wake up in the morning. We then draw up an incentive plan that doesn't just correlate to them, but it also correlates to all their peers, so that when you are successful, they benefit as well.
Mm,
And in doing so and making it correlated to an actual result, what happens is they begin to self-help each other and self-keep each other accountable, as
mm.
opposed to being something that most managers are waking up every morning dreading. I don't want to have to come yell at you this time again and again and again. Like, I'm tired of doing this. Well, now if I don't do my job correctly, that guy's daughter doesn't get to go on vacation. That's a completely different mentality that brings people in. And it also makes it a completely different environment for having people wanting to work for you. You become a place where people want to work at, because this incentive system that's built with me in mind and my personal
Yeah.
psychology at heart. Well, I actually do want to have a conversation about working there, opposed to this place that doesn't care about me at all.
Yeah, this is really more like a very lovely way of actually getting to engage it. Going to, they wouldn't want to live with the guilt of saying the next person thought I didn't go on vacation, owing to the fact that I didn't take responsibility when I needed to take responsibility. And it's really lovely being that, yeah, they are not just seeing the result of their actions, but they are seeing the whole rundown of on how it affects the next persons and their next colleague. Yeah, it's really amazing. Wow. Wow. So you say most sales team are lose not because they lack script, but because they cannot move through truth, tension, and timing without flinching. What does it take to build that particular capacity? And what does this person have to first quit?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the problem with scripts, and it's all correlated, is that first off, a script is written for one personality type, it's written for one voice, and then expecting everyone to repeat it is almost a guarantee to turnover, because it feels fake coming out of me. That's not how I would have said something. It's not how I like it. But the bigger overarching problem with scripts is that you can't script a relationship. And when you're doing sales correctly, you're in a relationship creating a win-win with the other person. You can't script that. You're like, I don't know, this is the first time we're talking here. I didn't know exactly how you were going to ask me things, or what you were going to ask, or what order. Like, I couldn't have a pre-written
Yeah.
script for this. And there's no difference between that and trying to sell a product. And it highlights a lie that Amazon and eBay tried teaching people. And that lie is that people will buy if you just show them the features and the benefits. And what it really is companies showing features and benefits is a way to stay in that child mentality and hide. Because if I'm not bringing anything up about me, and I'm just talking about four walls and an engine, or the size of this kitchen, or how this insurance policy works, well, then there's nothing personally at stake that you could take away from me. I'm not being out there. I'm also not engaging in a relationship with you. But when we're talking about features, benefits, it's really easy to write a script about those stuff. Like, we know what the product's supposed to do and all that. So when you're leaning into these anti-relationship behaviors, you're diminishing your chances of success across the entire board. And that is the fundamental flaw that you see with most scripts. Now, that being said, you still need to have structure in some things. Like, this is when the meeting's going to start. This is what we're going to accomplish. And this is what our next steps are moving forward. So people can see what the process is, what they do get out of this. But at the end of the day, they're not buying that SUV because of the four wheels and the engine. They're buying it because it'll fit all seven of their grandkids, or they can fit the golf course in the back, or, you know what? I'm just afraid that a truck's going to run me over. I want to be off the ground.
Yeah.
None of those have to do with four wheels or an engine. They all have to do with what's going on in that person's soul right now, and you connected what they wanted. Opposed to you trying to say enough features and benefits and them do math behind the scenes, because that math doesn't equate. You're asking logic to fix an emotional problem, and that cannot be done regularly. if at all.
Yeah, logic cannot fit into emotional problem. You have to dig deep to know what the emotional problem is and know what
Mhm.
solutions perfectly fit for it. Yeah, this is really amazing. So for a business owner who accept a slow season as normal, what is the mindset shift that change the calendar, and what is the first incentive design mode that make it real?
Yeah, I mean, the mindset shift that changes the calendar goes back to the incentive package that we build for as a team. Is that there's a certain spot everyone, as I said before, I've made enough money, I'm done. Like,
Yeah,
I'll, I'm thinking I'd rather take the next 6 weeks off than make a couple more money. But if I know I can actively help someone I care about in this office, and that means I got to work an extra 3 weeks, people will do that. And they will do it to have especially shared experiences together that are meaningful. And that's what we do at Elite Business Cruises. We create not just the sales structure, but the actual meaningful experience as well. So we do all of this, all the stuff I've been talking about is what we do. So it's what gets people to want to keep working so they don't leave each other out to dry. They hit the goal that's in front of them as a team. So even though individually I might not be contributing the most, I'm going to still try because my little bit adds up. And it's communicating with people and putting it all in the language that they will love and respect to make those differences is how you take people from taking 6 months off to taking 6 weeks off. And it's a wildly different environment
yeah,
as a business owner when your salespeople work for 4 extra months. I mean, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to do
yeah.
that math. So that's what we do. Sometimes they're that extreme as it is with real estate. Sometimes it's less obvious, but that's what we do.
Wow, that was really amazing. And the fact that you just make reference of the incentive pattern again, yeah, that make it easier for you to be able to push a whole lot of things or into what they stand to gain when it's being applied. So how do you came up with the incentive pattern? Is it more like a trial and error method, or more like it was something you suddenly stumbled on?
So when I wrote my book, Casino Sales Master, Proven System to Beat the Odds in Life, I dove into just from the salesperson's perspective of how to sell better, how to relate to people, how to swim in their oceans of emotions, and how to connect with people. It was all focused upon that first equation that businesses are failing at. What is the business's relationship with their prospects/clients? That book was all built for there. And right now I'm in the process of writing the second book, which is the one about the business's relationships with the employees. But the thing is once I started doing the research for the first book, I was also simultaneously doing the research for the second. And as I was building follow-up products, some of which I did for clients, I saw how effective the system worked in changing it first with salespeople to having everyone on the same team. And you can argue the core of what I'm doing in terms of the sales incentive part of it isn't that super different than what people have done for years with things like president's clubs and group travel and stuff like that. Where we take it to the next level is we scientifically get into what each person is motivated by, their strengths, their personalities, etc. So we can give every single message that the sales manager wants to give comes out directly and personalized for each employee. There's no more mass send all email. It's this is the message I want to have, but I'm going to write it differently for this person
Yeah,
than this person, this person. So now it's personalized, it connects with me, and stuff like productivity goes from, which in America is the current average is below 30% to about 60%, which means you're getting greater than 100% increase in productivity. You can see it in all of the metrics, and people actually want to be there and people want to work for you. And those changes are there. So it all started with figuring out the solution from the psychology and then the vessel of how to deliver it. Why I ultimately chose cruises opposed to something else was a lot of different reasons that all boiled out to it's the way I wanted to run my business. It's the net benefit for the client is better, and the net benefit for the way I wanted to run my business was better, and that's why it's Elite Business Cruises.
yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, being the psychological aspect of it and the way you actually want to apply it, yeah, make it come up. It's really amazing. And thank you so much for sharing your heart on, yeah, with us on this particular episode. So for my audience who would love to get your book, reach out to you either for coaching or more like some couples of advice, or reach out to you for coaching or get your book. How can they reach out and where's the best platform?
Well, there's two ways you can get a hold of me. First is Elite Business Cruises. That's elitebusinesscruises.com. 3 words altogether, no spaces. And the second one is casinosalesmaster.win. So
Mm,
casinosalesmaster.win, that is the sales course and the book. But you can get
Yeah.
a free copy of the book on it right now, the digital download.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joel. Yeah, thank you so for the reminder that performance become predictable when you understand the human drivers behind behavior, and the real conversation is always worth having. Is one this audience can use Monday morning. Yeah, and for my audience who would love to reach out, check the show notes and you see the link to connect and to reach out to him. I remember nobody drive across town in July heat just to look, and nobody stays stuck in broken team because they want to find the reasons. Everything changed from there. Yeah, once again, it's really a pleasure and honor having you on the show, Joe.
Thank you for having me.